The real main thing is you now talking to those sellers and bringing them through a sales process and trying to convert them into a contract. And once you have the strategy that you want to tackle and that you want to focus on long term, really what it depends on is like figuring out a strategy. It depends on your access to time, your access to money, and your skill set and personality, I would say. It's based off of those three things. Once you kind of get an understanding of that, you're like, all right, cool. I think, like for me, for example, I was a guy who had a decent amount of money, I had a decent amount of time, and I already had some sales skills because of my background. But I was like, I need to get better at sales. So I think my best option would be to go direct to seller with virtual assistants, because it's going to allow me time to get better at talking to sellers and do all that. So that's the route that I went. Some people are like, dude, I have absolutely no money.
No.
I'm just going to be the guy that goes and door knocks, and that's cool. But you just got to figure out kind of where you're at.
Okay.
Any
Yeah, I
questions?
have to think about that. Yeah, I just have to think about it. But yeah, probably wouldn't be finding the buyer. Probably be more just getting the contracts.
Yeah, I agree. It's the thing that's most controllable. Like if you're the guy finding the buyer, yeah, that's cool. You have access to like the person who has all the money. But at the end of the day, you're not in control of your business, right? Like you're relying on somebody else to go out and find the contract. I want to be the guy that's in control. I want to be like the one that's held accountable when our business is doing business or not doing business. I want to be the one that's like, all right, we're getting a bunch of contracts and I can have a pulse on that. I know I'm going to spend this amount of time and this amount of money into it. I'm going to get this many contracts back. When you're the buyer, when you're like the guy finding the buyers, it's very hard to track that type of stuff because you're basing it on this guy. Then again, it's much more cheaper. And sometimes it's actually faster to be this guy because you don't have to do all the follow-up. You don't have to go on appointments. You don't have to do all this stuff. You don't have to wait for the whole entire deal to close. You pretty much come right in at the end. There are benefits there, but I just like having control. I like knowing like, all right, here, I'm putting my 2 or 3 hours worth of work in a day. I'm doing this, that, and the other. I know if I do this amount of work and spend this amount of money, I'm going to get this amount back. And that's cool about being the guy getting the contracts. You're saying for you, rather be the guy getting the contracts?
Yeah, that's what I would rather do. Yeah, sounds better.
Love it. So now it's just figuring out like your sales experience. What have you done for sales?
Be an agent down here in DC, Maryland and DC. So I was a real estate agent for about 3 or 4 years while having my day, my 9 to 5, if you want to call it. But so I wasn't really doing it as much, but that's my experience. Also, like I said, I own a laundromat. So it's not really sales, but it is marketing. It is getting people in the doors, doing Facebook ads, all that stuff, Google, just doing promotions at my laundromat. Yeah. So probably where it ends. But it's between a laundromat and being a real estate agent.
So just from knowing obviously what you got going on for work and you own a laundromat and all this type of stuff, I'm going to cancel out doing the things like door knocking and like the cheap forms of marketing that take a lot of time and energy to do. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't have time for to go down, door knocking. I do have a lot of downtime at my job. I mean, it's not, I don't have to do anything unless something happens. Somebody starts shooting at the White House or whatever, and that's when I respond. But so other than that, you don't hear too much of that. Right. I'm just sitting there waiting for something to happen,
Cool. I like it. Dude, well, if you started generating leads with VAs, I think you'd have a good opportunity. Here's the thing. When you pick like, hey, the way I want to market to sellers is cold calling and texting with virtual assistants. And that's the best way to do it. Like if you're going to build out that department, the most cost-effective way and the most efficient way is just using a VA to do that. Your time will be spent managing that VA and making sure they're having the right conversations and the right amount of conversations and stuff like that, and getting them set up with their systems and processes on uploading the lists and talking to people on the dialer and all those stuff. And this might be going over your head because you're like, Mike, I don't even know what the heck a dialer is. Pretty much there's a bunch of softwares that you're going to have to give the virtual assistant, and the virtual assistant is going to take these softwares and they're going to work in those softwares on a day-to-day basis. And they're going to talk to sellers all day. And they're going to say, hey, are you interested in selling your property? Are you interested in selling your property? The whole day. And then all of a sudden, 3 times out of the day, they're going to find somebody who is interested in selling their property. And once they're interested in selling their property, that's when Paul gets on the phone and has a more lengthy conversation and more qualified conversation to figure out what the situation is and if it's something that you should pursue and get an offer to them on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've actually gotten those calls before, so I know what you're talking about.
I get them all the time. Yeah, so literally, you own a couple properties, right? You probably get the calls from VAs.
I do, yes. Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Literally, those calls that you're talking about, those are the exact calls that I'm talking about. Like you're gonna have them, you're gonna build out system for them to do that. You're gonna need something called Dialer, which is the software that they log into, and all it does is they press a button and it literally just calls a bunch of people all day, and they simply just keep on answering the phone. You're gonna need that. You're gonna need a CRM, which is where all your leads are like hang out. That's where like, you stay organized. It's almost like a spreadsheet, but it's more of a sophisticated spreadsheet. And then you're going to need a place to go get all the data that you can give your team to go call and text, right? So there's a bunch of softwares and I'll lay them all out and I'll try to figure that out. But pretty much you need all these different softwares on how to do that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll create a YouTube video on all the things that you would need in order to start a wholesaling business. That's what I'll do. I'll do that by the end of the week, and then I'll send you that video. So it'll be from like A to Z, all the softwares that you would need, like your system, your CRM, your dialer, your text platform, your this, that, and the other. And then I'll send you that video, and I'll explain on that video exactly what the softwares are that we use, so you have an idea. And all you'll do is you'll Google or YouTube those softwares and figure out how to use them. You give those softwares and logins and stuff to your team, and they log in every day and just work through those softwares. So that's pretty much what it would look like. And then once you have that in place and they start talking to people every day and they start generating you leads, then your job is still to manage them and still to like build a culture with them and still like, talk to them every single day and do call calibrations and role plays and stuff like that to make sure they're having good quality conversations. But besides that, the real main thing is you now talking to those sellers and bringing them through a sales process and trying to convert them into a contract. And then once you convert them into a contract, you'll just find somebody who has all the buyers in the area, send that contract over to them, and you guys will squat up on the deal and you keep rinsing and repeating.
Definitely sounds like work.
Definitely work. I'm not going to hold you.
Definitely work. Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and sell you on that. It's an easy way to make 20 grand in your first 30 days, because it is not. It actually took me like 7 months to get my first deal. But I'm not saying that to scare you either, because it's definitely, if you're looking for a side hustle, it's one of the best ways to build a side hustle. And then a lot of stuff comes from it. You're going to see opportunities that you buy houses yourself. So you're going to see opportunities for yourself to buy. You're going to build relationships with people in your market that are doing deals. It's going to be great once you really build that. A lot's going to come from it rather than just the side hustle money.